Hello everyone, my name is David. Today we are going to take a look at another real story with you. This goes back to the year 1981. In 1981, there was a place called Barmer in Rajasthan, a very beautiful place, although it gets quite hot during the summer. In this same Barmer, there lived a young girl. It was a time, and even today, in many areas when child marriages still happen. So, in that era, in 1981, this girl got married. At the time, she was just 13 years old. After the wedding and all the traditional ceremonies, the girl returned to her home. Because it's a tradition that when child marriage takes place or when someone gets married at a young age, the girl is not immediately sent to her in-laws' house. The gauna is done later. Gauna is a term most people may be familiar with. It refers to the ceremony where a girl is formally sent to her in-laws' home after marriage. The wedding may take place in childhood, but the girl is only sent to her husband's house once she becomes an adult or comes of age. Typically, the gauna is performed after the girl turns 18. In this case, the girl from Barmer was married in 1981. 4 years had passed since the wedding. Now she had grown from 13 to 17 years old, with still a year left before her gauna. One evening, around 7 or 8 p.m., something unexpected happened. This was a time when electricity was not reliable in this remote area, from Barmer to Jodhpur. Power cuts were common, and people were used to having electricity for just a couple of hours a day. The village was dark. Suddenly, there was a knock at the girl's house. A young man knocked on the door. The women of the house opened it and were startled to see a stranger. At that moment, there were no men in the house. Everyone had gone out for some work, so she asked, "Brother, who are you and how did you get here?" The young man, blushing deeply, replied, "Ma'am, I'm your son-in-law." At that moment, all the women became startled and also a bit embarrassed, thinking, "Oh no, I didn't even recognize my own son-in-law." But then again, how could she have recognized him? In this entire area, especially where wedding ceremonies take place even today, all the women stay behind veils. They wear long veils that cover their faces. Even when the wedding rituals are happening, when the bride and groom are taking their rounds around the sacred fire, the bride remains fully covered with a veil. In fact, the bride's mother and all other women also keep their faces covered. She couldn't even see the groom's face through the veil. Then a man stood at the door and said, "I'm your son-in-law." All the women in the house, the bride's mother and sisters, were embarrassed and shy. They felt ashamed that they didn't recognize their own son-in-law. It was quite humiliating. Anyway, they apologized repeatedly and then respectfully invited him inside. Now, since he was the son-in-law, and in our culture, sons-in-law are treated with great hospitality, he was taken care of very well. It had been 4 years since the wedding, and this was the first time he came to their home. After a while, he asked, "Where is everyone else?" They replied, "Everyone is out for work." So he said that he was also traveling somewhere for work, and on the way he stopped by his in-laws' place. He said, "Let me greet everyone here with respect before I move on." But they said, "It's already nighttime, son-in-law. Where will you go now? Stay here tonight." He agreed and said, "Okay, I'll leave in the morning." After that, they prepared a room for him and then told the bride, "Go take care of your husband." The night passed. In the morning, the entire household got busy preparing a wonderful breakfast for the son-in-law. Meanwhile, the bride woke up and came looking, only to wonder where the groom had gone. The family is looking around, saying, "Where is the son-in-law? Breakfast and everything is ready." Then someone says, "He might have gone out for a walk earlier. Now they're searching for him, but he's nowhere to be found." Morning turned into afternoon and then evening. The family is starting to feel really awkward and worried, wondering if they made some mistake or if something was missing in the way they treated him, and maybe that's why he got upset and left. But as evening comes, things start to settle down a bit. Then suddenly the daughter says, "Mom, the jewelry I got at my wedding, it's not in the room." Her mom asks, "Why did you take out the jewelry?" The daughter replies, when he came that night, he said, "Why don't you fix yourself up a bit and wear your jewelry properly?" So I put it on and he looked at it and said, "No, these are too small for you now. These are outdated designs. Do one thing, pack these up and I'll get new ones made for you." So I packed them and he had them kept aside right there. When I woke up the next morning, the jewelry was no longer there, and neither was my husband. The women in the house started to feel something was off. Still, they thought maybe he's the groom. He gifted the jewelry. Maybe he'll get new ones made or get the size fixed. They said, "All right, no problem." Then a few more days passed. When the man of the house returns home, he is accompanied by another person. They both enter the house, and then the man, who is the head of the family, says to his wife, "Come here, see if you can recognize this person." Everyone is looking to see who it is. The wife stands in front of them along with their daughter. He says, "Look carefully. Don't you recognize your dear one?" She's unable to recognize him. Then he says, "You didn't recognize him? He's our son-in-law. I met him where I had gone, we spoke, and then I invited him to come home with me." As she hears her husband say that the man standing in front of her is her son-in-law. The ground slipped from under everyone's feet in the house 4 days ago. A man had come claiming to be the son-in-law. But now, the real son-in-law has arrived, brought in by the male members of the family themselves. So who was that earlier man? It was a situation where neither revealing the truth nor hiding it felt right. A man had come, stayed the night as the son-in-law, and by morning he had left along with the jewelry. Now, 4 days later, the real son-in-law is here. What could they do? They welcomed the real son-in-law warmly. He was simple and polite. He stayed for a short while and left again that same day. No one mentioned a word to him about the earlier incident. After he left, the family talked among themselves and said, "There were some issues 4 days ago. Another son-in-law came over. Now even the men in the house are surprised and worried." Then what happened was, they said, "We thought he was our son-in-law, so we sent him to the room with the daughter, and he left in the morning." Now there were talks about honor, respect, and some jewelry went missing. Then the question was, what should we do? If we file a police complaint, the jewelry theft case would be fine. But how will we explain that the son-in-law spent the whole night inside the house with the daughter in the room? The entire neighborhood, even the in-laws, will hear about it. Then the relationship will break, the marriage will be ruined, and in our culture, honor and respect come above everything else. So, what should we do? The family said, "Keep quiet. There's no need to file any report or tell anyone." That's why in this story I have not mentioned the names of the girl and the boy. This matter came and went with time. Sometime later, not far from Barma, in a house, a similar incident happens. One evening, a young man arrives and says the family is knocking, but on that day there was no man at home. When people asked, "Who are you?" he said, "I am your son-in-law." The family is so embarrassed that they don't even recognize his son-in-law. After taking care of they send him back to his room with their daughter. He stays there overnight, but in the morning, he's gone. In the morning, the daughter tells the story that he had said, "Show me your jewelry." Then when he checked, he said, "Some of these are small, this design is bad, this one is crooked." So he said he would get them fixed because his wife wears good jewelry. Then in the morning, the son-in-law is also gone, and now he too is missing. This is what happens here. At night, there's no electricity at all in that entire area. I had already told you about the veil issue. Now all these things have happened. Then, after a few days, suddenly the real son-in-law comes to the house. Even the family in this house doesn't know anything about this son-in-law. When this son-in-law arrived, the family was shocked and confused, thinking, "Who is this? Our other son-in-law just left 4 days ago." Now, there are 2 different sons-in-law, and they don't even know what's going on. They are bewildered and worried, but can't even tell the truth. Like 4 days ago, another son-in-law came, stayed the whole night, and left in the morning. If they reveal this, their respect will be lost. Well, they took great care of their son-in-law, and then the men of the house arrived. The men recognized him and realized, yes, this is the one. After that, he went into the room, and while staying in that room, and on the day he had come, all the men were there. That night, everyone had returned from work, so since those men had not worn the veil, they recognized their son-in-law. The family was satisfied, thinking, all right, he's here now. Then what happened was he was sent to the bride's room. Meanwhile, the girl was not told that the husband who had come 4 days ago was fake, and this one who came now was the real one. Because when the groom came, there was the curtain and all the customs inside the house, so that daughter was kept in a separate room, not in front of the son-in-law. After that, it was decided that no one should mention anything. The bride also wore a veil and all that, so she did not see her husband's face, and the husband did not see the wife's face. Then night fell, and he was sent to the room. The husband arrived there, but the girl was unaware that he was her actual husband. She was under the impression that the one who had come 4 days ago was back again. Then they talked in the room. During a conversation, the wife suddenly says, "By the way, what happened to the jewelry you took the other day? Has it been fixed now?" The husband, confused, replies, "What jewelry? When did I take it?" She insists, "The ones you took 4 days ago when you came over." He says, "But this is the first time I'm coming here since our wedding." Now it's the wife's turn to be shocked and confused. She insists, No, that day I gave you the jewelry. You took it." He says, "I swear I wasn't even here." Now the husband is equally stunned. He goes outside and asks the other men in the family, "Who came here pretending to be me?" And then the secret, which had been hidden, comes out. The family admits, "Actually, something strange happened. A man came here and claimed to be our son-in-law. There were no men at home that day, and the women hadn't seen his face because of the veil. Even the bride hadn't seen him clearly, and there was no electricity at the time. He stayed for a while, then left, taking all the jewelry with him. But the real son-in-law was a good and decent man. He said, 'This must be the work of some gang or a fraud person. If we stay quiet, they'll target other families too. It's your duty as responsible citizens to report this to the police.' The family was hesitant, worried about their daughter's honor. But the son-in-law said, 'It's okay. We need to do the right thing. At the very least, we can file a complaint about the jewelry theft. Let's not mention that he stayed the whole night and that the family agreed to it.' For the first time, a police report is filed at the Barmer police station against a thief son-in-law. A few days later, another family from a nearby village comes forward and files a report with the exact same story. The first case gets discussed in the village council, and then that family also agrees to at least file a case about the stolen jewelry. But things took a turn. In the second house where the incident happened, the husband who first raised the issue said, "No, that thief needs to be caught. Who knows how many homes he's targeted, and people are staying silent to protect their honor. Let's do one thing, not just a theft case. Let's also file a rape case against him, because he stayed the whole night pretending to be her husband." That's wrong. So now, 2 theft cases and 1 rape case were filed. The entire village began pressuring the police to catch him. Coincidentally, a while later, a man was seen wandering suspiciously in the village. In the evening, a few people spotted him heading toward a house on the edge of the village and informed the police. A police team arrived at the scene. He was picked up for questioning. When asked, he gave his name as Jia Ram. The police already had their suspicions, so they roughed him up a bit. After being beaten, he told the truth and confessed not just to 3 cases at that time, but to 10-12 similar crimes all at once. The police asked him how he managed to do all this. Then he told his story. He said, "I'm also from a village near Jodhpur and Barmer. My father died when I was a child, and my mother raised me. I attended many weddings while growing up, and I was just a young boy at the time, around 17 or 18 years old. He continued, I had attended so many weddings and noticed a pattern. Most of the marriages here are child marriages. The girls are covered with veils, and the actual marital ceremony happens years later. In this culture, after the wedding, girls don't go to live with their husbands immediately. They visit their in-laws only once for some rituals and then return home. The boy and girl are not allowed to spend time together, only when the girl comes of age, and then she finally go live with her husband. And then, once she could live with her husband, there would usually be a gap of 3, 4, or even 5 to 6 years between the wedding and the traditional ceremony, marking when the bride moves in with her husband, because the girls were very young. He said that in most of the weddings he had seen, neither the groom had seen the bride's face, nor had the bride seen the groom's. Even the relatives hadn't seen the bride or groom's face because of the culture of wearing a veil. At that time, I was in need of some money. I noticed that women wore a lot of jewelry at weddings. Then the idea came to my mind to commit a kind of theft where people would be robbed but wouldn't even be able to speak up about it, because it would be a matter of honor. So he said, I got the idea to target girls who were married, but their traditional wedding ceremony hadn't happened yet, and at least 1, 2, or 3 years had passed since the wedding. Since I was from that area, I already had an idea about which house the wedding procession had gone to. Then I would find out on my own what the girl's age. If I found out that the traditional wedding ceremony was scheduled around 4 to 5 years after the wedding, I would start planning to target that house. But even in that, I would particularly choose homes that were located in corners or secluded areas. This was the first part of the plan, a conspiracy. The second part was that after doing all these things, he would keep track of when the male members of a household would leave, whether for work, the city, the district, or some nearby town. And on the night they wouldn't return home, that's when he would enter the house, posing as the son-in-law. The reason being, if the men were present, they would recognize him since they were not veiled and knew groom's face. But the women being veiled wouldn't know, so he would carefully scout everything in advance. On the night when no men were at home, he would go there. Since there was no electricity in the village, he would go directly, dressed in new clothes, and claim to be the son-in-law. Forget the wife, even the mother-in-law and other family members wouldn't recognize him. He would then go into the room, talk sweetly to the wife, and ask her where her jewelry was, telling her to get ready. Then he'd say things like, "These ornaments are too small, too loose, or not well designed," and offer to get them repaired or replaced with better ones. Then, while everyone was still asleep early in the morning, around 4 to 5 a.m., he would quietly slip out and disappear. Later, he would go to a big city, sell the jewelry, and enjoy himself with the money. After that, he would target other newlywed couples. Eventually, the police caught him. He confessed to 4 or 5 such incidents and was sent to jail. But only theft charges stuck, because in the cases, due to social stigma and concerns about honor, no one came forward to testify. So he was released after a few months. Then he moved to another place, committed more crimes, got caught again, moved to a third place, was caught again, released, and continued the same pattern. He started this in 1982, and it continued until 2010. Just think about it, for almost 30 years he kept doing this. But the shocking part is that in all those 30 years, he never committed this act in his own village. The last time he was caught was around 2006 or 2007. At that time, he confessed in front of an inspector that over the course of his life, he had stolen the marital sanctity of about 250 women, meaning he posed as their husband, spent a night with them in their room, and then ran away the next morning with their jewelry. When the police were asked why a case wasn't filed, despite such a large number, it was revealed that most people chose not to come forward out of concern for their honor. A few did, but only reported the jewelry theft. Slowly, the situation became such that even if someone wrote "jewelry stolen" in a report, rumors would spread and the village people would say it wasn't just theft. The thief's son-in-law had probably stayed at their house too and spent the night. This fear spread rapidly in the villages. Families began to stay silent for the sake of their reputation. Eventually, even the theft accusations stopped. Such was the fear of him that in the regions of Jodhpur and Barmer, whenever a son-in-law would visit, even a real one, he would first be thoroughly verified. He would be seated, asked questions. Men from the village would be called to confirm his identity, and only after that would he be allowed to enter the house. That's how terrifying he had become. In 2016, Jia Ram died of illness. His lungs had failed, and with that he passed away. People were so scared of Jia Ram that they hesitated to even speak about what had happened. Though he admitted to deceiving 250 women, the number of cases officially filed against him was not even 10% of that, because it was a matter of honor, and people didn't come forward. During the 1990s in Jodhpur and Barmer, his name, Jia Ram, or more commonly, the thief's son-in-law, became infamous. His fear gripped every household, especially those where a new bride had recently arrived. And somewhere this story is also linked to child marriages, which sadly still happen in many parts of India. Young girls are married off and kept at their parental homes. Sometimes they aren't even of age when the marriage is consummated, often just 14 years old. When such things happen, it shows how dangerous the human mind can be, that someone can find a way to commit crimes even in such situations. And he knew very well that even if many people recognized him, very few would ever file a case. So he would easily get away with it. Think about it, if someone is accused of 250 rapes, what kind of punishment would he normally get? But in this case, despite deceiving and violating 250 women, he mostly lived free because he did it through manipulation. And when he finally died, he was still a free man. It's shocking to think how twisted the human mind can be and what kind of people exist in this world. So this was today's story. Thank you for joining us on this journey today. We hope you enjoyed the content and found it valuable.